Okay, this discussion.
Hold
Save it for the pod.
How do I know how long this is without playing it?
I like that we can say save it for the pod now because I just want to...
Yeah, it's like real.
It's awesome. But also, I can just say it to you whenever I want you to stop talking.
And that is unconscionable. So few people are graced with the gift of my voice. And you want to silence that? That's terrible. Let's see.
I think it's funny.
1, 2, 3, 4. Is 13 hours of pod enough?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, perfect.
I think like a couple hours of pod is enough to be like, there's an idea at least.
This is journalism, Honor. This is hard-hitting reporting.
Uh-huh.
This is facts.
Uh-huh. I feel like we don't deserve any of that kind of credibility.
But I want it. None the same. Whether we deserve it or not, I want it badly.
Yeah, welcome to Podpodcastcast. The podcast where we review other podcasts. You always say I'm Sam first. By always, I mean the first 2 episodes. So now, if I say I'm Honor first...
Well, you have to continue, though. You have. I do it because I intro.
Well, I'm...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Podpodcastcast, a podcast where we review podcasts. I'm Sam.
And I'm Honor.
And today, we're talking about...
Chuckle Sandwich. Sam shaking his head at me. He's not excited. I am.
Perfect.
This is an episode where... Actually, you know what? We could do like a Chuckle Sandwich intro.
Oh, okay. How does it go?
Well, we talk like this.
We do a cold open.
Yeah.
We kind of do that anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we have done that.
But I thought it would be funny.
So when do they decide to... Do they have a theme song? Man, hold on. I gotta listen to some Chuckle Sandwich real quick.
Welcome to Podpodcastcast, and now we play our music, and then we come back. I'll do it. I'll edit it, and you'll understand.
Yeah, okay.
And now we're here. We're talking about Chuckle Sandwich.
Wait, I thought we were doing a cold open.
I just did it.
How did you do it?
I said, welcome to Podpodcast. They like talk like normal.
Oh,
and then Ted just goes, welcome to Chuckle Sandwich whenever he feels like it.
I thought you had to I thought you had to say it like, hey, I'm taking a big dookie. How big was that dookie? Welcome to Chuckle Sandwich.
Welcome to Podpodcast.
That's not worth it. Yeah, we're talking...
We already did it.
Okay. We're talking about Chuckle Sandwich today.
This open is so clean.
You gotta edit most of this out.
It'll be awesome.
I have no control. This is such a terribly frightening thing.
Yeah.
We're talking about Chuckle Sandwich at the behest of Brady, who came on last episode and told us that we should. I was opposed at first. I said, I don't want to listen to Chuckle Sandwich.
I think the thing that should be said is that we had mentioned Chuckle Sandwich to each other before.
Right.
And it was something where Sam was like, we'll have to have an episode on it. Or maybe I was. But it was like, we don't agree. But then we were like, save it for the pod.
Save it for the
Eventually, there will be a Chuckle Sandwich episode. It's now episode 3. Only our second book club episode.
Bookbookclubclub.
See,
if you could
now
say
you're on it.
No, it's your thing. Don't blame that on me.
I said it last time. You like a punny, like funny thing more than me.
It's not. It's neither of those that I don't.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, this was frankly something I was frightened of, and I didn't expect it to come so soon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's here.
Chuckle Sandwich. How do you describe Chuckle Sandwich? I mean, it's one of those podcasts where it's just like people talking.
Right. So we should.
And they don't even have like a thing they talk about.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of the epitome of the, I think me and my friends are funny podcast. You know. So for those of you who don't know Chuckle Sandwich is a podcast by 3 YouTube personalities: Ted Nivision, Jschlatt, and Charlie Slimecicle.
But Charlie Slimecicle is no longer with the podcast.
Oh, that's a good point. He was one of the OGs.
One of the OGs,
And
which is for sure something we'll talk about because this was our largest point of contention.
This was our largest point of contention.
Was Charlie Slimecicle,
and
which we'll revisit. But now they have, I just blanked on his name. Trevor?
Is that his name?
I believe so.
Hold on, I gotta...
You check that. But he's also, like, he's more of a background. He kind of does the, like, when they... like react to viewer clips.
Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Remember when you got on to me for being on my little device?
Hey, this is important. Okay, I'm doing this for
His
you.
His name's Trevor.
Is his name Trevor?
I feel like it is, and if it's not, it'll be funny to call him Trevor the whole time.
No.
Look, it's this easy. I'm going to go to Google. I'm gonna do.
Wait, hold on.
Chuckle Sandwich Trevor. Nope, it's not Trevor, it's Tucker. It kind of would have been funny to call him Trevor the whole time, though.
We looked it up, listener. His name is Tucker, not Trevor. Once again, I am right.
You didn't say his name was Tucker.
I couldn't remember. Just didn't think it was Trevor. Yeah, so it's now it's Trevor
Tucker.
It's Tucker, Jschlatt, and Ted, and it was Jschlatt, Ted, and Charlie. Yeah, so it's basically a podcast about some YouTube guys, and they just talk about kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Seemingly, like, just scrolling through their like most recent episodes, it's a lot of like would you rather like fan write-in.
Yep. They do like some kind of gimmicky stuff. It's not like consistent though. Like sometimes they do would you rather, which is also something they did very early. But it was just like they just like Googled like would you rather questions instead of fan sitting them in. They've done like I think they did a Smash or Pass.
Yes, Smash Marry Kill. That was my favorite episode. That's not true. Don't quote me on that.
They do a lot where they like get other people to come on, and it's like they kind of interview them. It's kind of a lot of the time just like also their friends, who then they just like talk to and are funny with. Yeah.
So, listener, if you don't know any of these guys, just imagine a room of 3 YouTube gamer guys.
Yep.
That you imagine did get popular during quarantine.
Yep.
And that's, you have an accurate picture of exactly who we're talking about.
Yeah. But also, I do think these 3 guys in particular have some interesting, like, personas. Especially if we get into, like, discussion of, was Charlie leaving a detriment to the podcast?
Okay, all right. So, let's get into the background of the pod.
Uh-huh.
So, they start this up in... And Honor, I'm going to lean on you here because you are our Chuckle Sandwich expert.
A little bit. I haven't listened to like every episode.
The Chuckle historian.
Untrue.
Truly the meat of the sandwich.
What part of the
sandwich? That was the titular chuckle right there.
What part of the sandwich would you be, Sam?
I'm like some Fritos. That you would put in your sandwich. Did you ever do that? You ever put chips in your sandwich?
Yeah, I would do potato chips. I didn't normally have Fritos.
Yeah. Fritos are good. They're very salty.
Yeah. I like a Frito with chili. That's really the only time I have Fritos.
Don't like chili.
You're a monster.
We'll never be friends.
We'll never be friends. Yeah, that's sad for your life.
It is. So, Honor, I'm relying on you to correct all the lies I'm about to tell.
Okay.
Perfect. Because I listened... As research for this episode, I listened to about 13 hours worth of Chuckle Sandwich.
Yeah.
So I listened to 4 of their more recent episodes. I think it starts with Smash, Marry, Kill and goes back to one of the Would You Rathers. And then I listened to their first 6 or 7 episodes up to the Tommy Innit special. Yet another YouTube man. And then at Honor's demanding... Honor's ultimatum.
Not at all.
I listened to Chuckle Dungeon 1 and Chuckle Dungeon 2, which are...
Oh, you listened to both?
I listened to both. They were
nice.
they were good.
Yeah.
But Honor, you've listened to much more, correct?
I've listened to more it's honestly like a thing where like I don't remember how much more, because it kind of is
You're
just
so
a thing.
deep in the void, man.
Not
You
even
can't
necessarily.
even
It's
see your
just
way
like
out.
if there's an episode that looks interesting to me, I'll listen to it. But it's not a podcast where every single time they put out an episode, I'm like, oh, new Chuckle Sandwich, I gotta listen. It's if I'm intrigued, or like if they have on someone I know, of course, I will listen. Like I really like the Ethan Nestor episodes. I almost told you to listen to those.
Who's Ethan Duster?
Ethan Nestor.
Ethan Nestor.
Ethan Nestor,
Not a
another
real name.
YouTube personality, most well known for doing Unis Honest with Markiplier.
Oh my gosh,
the other
you
guy.
would be an Unis Honest head. Jesus.
I
You have
actually-
Unis Honest merch.
No.
I know you do.
I don't, because I wasn't really on YouTube when they did it. I found out about Unis Honest after it was, deleted, gone. But I really like Ethan.
That's crazy for me to learn about you.
Yeah.
Recontextual. I assumed you were Unis Honest freak.
I for sure would have been.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of, it was like, I kind of got on YouTube and was like actually watching videos like kind of right after when people were like making clip compilations and stuff. So I'd watch the clips, and I really thought Ethan was funny. And so that's one thing that's like weird about me, is I went and watched Ethan first and then discovered who Markiplier was. Did not
That
know
is
who
not true.
Markiplier was.
That is not true
That
at all.
That's true.
You're the
I went and watched Ethan and then was like, oh, Ethan's friend, Markiplier.
You're the strangest person I've ever met. I
Yeah.
don't believe you're
It's
real.
because I wasn't really on the internet for a lot of my life.
That's also insane for me to imagine.
Yeah.
What are you what like a normal child grows up into?
No, I was homeschooled.
Right. Oh yeah. Okay, that explains it then.
Yeah.
That explains it. There's a strange overlap between homeschooled children and like grimy internet kids.
Yeah.
You're not grimy, Honor. Just so the audio listeners love you to death. Honor, grimeless.
I appreciate that, Sam.
Yeah.
That's another Chuckle Sandwich thing. Is Ted Nivision, lover of the audio listener.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
He, whenever they do a visual bit, because they also, it's a podcast,
okay.
but they have video.
So we need to explain this podcast.
Yeah.
So they make it in 2021, still kind of COVID times.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the impetus is. I think it's just because Jschlatt's like, we could make a lot of money. That's
Actually, they've talked about it, they can make a lot of money is the joke, but also they were like three friends who like don't live in the same places but got along really well, didn't really have like reasons to hang out, so they were like, let's make a reason to hang out.
Yeah.
And it's a podcast.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
And so every episode, there is no particular like point of the podcast, like we said.
No.
They just bring up something. A lot of times, those early episodes, it's so clear, like they're just feeling it out in a
Yeah.
not a terrible way, but
No.
it's a little tough. The bit for like the first like 4 episodes is that everyone hates Ted, and they do that for like 40 minutes. It's like,
Yeah.
Ted, I remember when I was a child and you broke my hand with a baseball bat.
Yep.
And Charlie and Jschlatt just mercilessly mock him.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the structure. It is really just them goofing around.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do the interview episodes where they interview assumedly some other YouTube dork.
Yeah.
It is like a YouTube pop culture podcast.
Kinda, yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah. Just kind of like inevitably, because that's the sphere they're in.
Exactly.
And also like the platform they're on. They're also on Spotify and Apple Music ? Other podcatchers, but like their episodes are on YouTube and they have their face cams on.
That is correct. Like it is intended to be a YouTube podcast.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to say I'm against,
Yeah.
but
I get how you're feeling.
that's not a real podcast. That's a
Yeah.
talk show.
Yeah. But it's like they kind of have presentation, but like yeah, it kind of is a talk show.
one of the podcasts that I really enjoy from Sanspants Radio, Plumbing with the Death Star, now is on YouTube, and it frightens me so because I've never seen their faces. But sometimes they'll reference the visual bits they do. I want to know, but I can't. I can't do that to myself.
Yeah, there is one episode where they're like reading emails they got from listeners, and one of them is like, "Hey guys, I am a strict audio Chuckle Sandwich listener. Can you describe what each other, like what you look like? Because I've never seen your faces."
That's
which
crazy.
they're like, that's crazy because they're internet personalities.
They're YouTube guys. Yeah. They are YouTube guys.
Yeah. But it's really funny. And then they describe themselves in like me character creation options.
And that is the other aspect of this podcast, is while it kind of sounds like nothing and like a self-indulgent like influencer podcast, which it is, it is also genuinely quite funny.
It's funny. And I mean, there's a reason that they're like successful internet personalities, which is because they're funny.
They are all three of them are very funny. I have watched many a Jschlatt video. Yep. Sometimes I have seen Charlie Slimecicle do GTA car race.
GTA?
GTA. He did GTA.
If he did, that was many years ago.
I seen it, I think. Or else it was some other green jello man.
I think it was maybe. I don't know. He did used to do like, which this is like 7 years ago. He would do like dank remixes of
dank
stuff.
What?
Like remixes or
remixes.
Or like parody songs.
I think said dank rank mixes. And I was like, what?
Dank rank.
What does that possibly mean?
You know, the dank rank.
How do you sound like a cool kid in an 80s movie trying to get me to go skating? Hey, punk. Rank. Hey, new kid. You gotta go to that dank rank later tonight?
Yeah.
Do you mean skating rink? No, the rank.
The rank. Yeah. But yeah, I also like there is something like deeply intriguing to me about their like internet personas that they've created as a digital storytelling major and like a communication major, of like especially Jschlatt, because he's such a character.
I hope you can hear my head shake.
He's shaking his head. But it's an interesting thing because, okay, I think if there's any of these three original members of Chuckle Sandwich that you, as someone who might not know these people, might need to know about, is Jschlatt, because he's a hugely popular YouTube figure.
He is the most popular of the three of them.
He's the most popular, but he also is always in like wrapped up in controversial like Twitter debates.
Is that true?
Yes, all the time.
The only one I know about is the one that they talk about on the podcast about how Corp's husband responded to a tweet and got more likes than Schlatt, and Schlatt didn't like that because it was a competition to get a billboard.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, so they had gone to war.
Yeah, well,
Corp's husband is also a YouTuber, just to be clear.
Yeah.
You have to get it. This is a podcast for kids in the YouTube sphere.
Yes.
This is what it is.
Yeah, especially I feel like the Minecraft YouTube sphere, but also for sure just general YouTubers.
Yeah, it's like if you wanted more of these particular people, you can get more of that, which makes it all the stranger that they have any audio listener that does not did not find them as via their YouTube channel.
There are people who just listen to Chuckle Sandwich and are like Chuckle Sandwich fans, not fans of them or their YouTube channels.
I don't. Do you think there's like anybody listening to Podpodcastcast right now that like first didn't find us through my jet ski world records?
Your jet ski.
That's what I'm famous for. My acrobatics I do on jet ski.
Are you just?
And you're famous for
and I'm
being that Red Bull guy that jumped off from the space place. Do you know what? That is such a terrible description of that event. What? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not at all. I don't know what bit you're on at all.
No, for Red Bull. They had a guy in like the high stratosphere. They put him up real high, and then he like jump down.
I don't follow you at all.
You don't understand?
What's your bit?
My bit is
just that we're famous?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we're for sure famous.
You have to cut that out because we are famous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We're very famous.
We're famous.
I'm famous for jet skis, and you're famous for being the Red Bull guy that jumped out of the space thing and fell to the ground, but was okay.
But was okay, yeah. I didn't have a parachute or anything. I just did that.
I think he did. I don't know if he did or not. How if you like fell from outer space but had a wingsuit on, how far do you think you could fly?
Like forward?
Yeah, like total distance.
Total distance?
Like across the surface of the earth. Not down. I'm talking, forward.
I mean, a long ways. That's what I'd bet. Probably more than 2.
Digital storytelling major, everyone. They did it.
Woo!
2, the biggest number.
The biggest number, I know.
Do you remember when they came out with 2? That was crazy.
Crazy stuff.
It was twice as big as 1. And infinitely bigger than 0.
Infinitely. I mean, when they came out with 0, that was the crazy.
That was the
crazy update.
Didn't people in India make that one? Like people in like Mesopotamia and like they just didn't have 0 before that.
They didn't have 0.
What do you think they put?
They didn't.
You have to have the concept of 0.
No.
That's insane. You know, like
they would just put nothing.
NPR Radio Lab once taught me that like maybe the Greeks didn't have a word for blue.
I would believe it.
Because they couldn't make the color blue. And so they're like, the ocean is a deep crimson. It's like, what?
What? That's so crazy.
No.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Oh. Jschlatt.
Yeah. So when I say he's involved in like controversial debates on Twitter, he's not in them. They're about him.
What? Oh.
And whether he's problematic or not.
Because
his whole persona is about. There are kind of ways that you and Jschlatt are similar.
Yes, I very much enjoy his humor.
Yeah, because his whole shtick is that it's like parody, like alt-right politics, like guns, America, Texas, but like satire.
But is it though? Is it
is the question.
I think there's a large degree which is not a joke. Like, I don't think he's joking about, like, I think he has firearms and enjoys them.
I mean, sure, but, like, there's definitely, like, there's ways you can see it's a farce.
He does like to, he likes to talk about Sleepy Joe a lot, which I like to talk about Sleepy Joe a lot, too.
I don't know Sleepy Joe.
What?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Our president?
Oh. Look.
What?
When you describe Sleepy Joe?
Have you never heard that?
No.
Are you serious? You've never heard that?
Never heard that.
What? Honor, have you ever like looked at the news?
Yeah.
Have you ever read the news?
Do they call him Sleepy Joe in the news?
Former President of the United States Donald J. Trump did a lot.
Well, I ignore him.
I just gotta say, it is a well-known way to refer to our current president, Joseph Robinette Biden. It's Robin. No, the R stands for Robinette.
I think I knew that.
I think the J in Donald J stands for John.
I was gonna say the same thing, so I think we're right.
I love groupthink.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, but Jschlatt plays this character. And I want to say that it's not, like, that much of a character. I think it's, like, he hams stuff up.
Yeah.
Like, obviously.
I mean, that's the thing, is that he's playing a character to which, like, you can't tell the degree to which it's a character. It's clear that he has a persona he's created.
That is true.
It's clear that he has, like, branding and, like, a shtick, kind of. But the part that's unclear is how much, which is like the greatest kind of internet anonymity. Wait, being anonymous. Why can't I? How does that word go?
Nemo, where do you live?
Yeah. It's like the greatest anonymity.
Nope.
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
Sorry.
Yay, honor!
I hate you.
You'll graduate the 6th grade.
I hate you. I'm gonna graduate before you. Do you know that?
Yeah, I think you told me in one semester, something like that. Yeah. Finally, this podcast can die.
Yeah.
It's gone on way too long.
I mean, if you need rescuing earlier, summer's on the way.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But it's the greatest form of internet anonymity.
Anonymity. Hold on. Honor, just edit.
I want to swear so bad.
Honor, edit this over what you just said. Anonymity. I don't think that's right anymore. I've said it so many times. I'm not sure that it's true.
I think it's not a real word. But no one knows who the real Jschlatt is.
That's
because
true.
He has this character, and you can't tell how much is real and fake.
We also don't know his name.
No.
Jschlatt.
Jschlatt.
Assumedly his last name is Schlatt, and his first initial.
I don't think so at all.
Really?
I think his initial is J, but I don't think his surname is Schlatt. I think that's a sound he came up with.
That could be, but he also has...
I think it's probably something similar. I don't think it is Schlatt. I think it's like Schrodenberg or something. I don't think it's Schrodenberg, but I think it's something else that starts with...
There's no way you can have the big mutton chops that he's famous for having without having a last name like Schlatt.
Like Schlatt. Well, that's why he made it, because he was like, something's
face against
wrong.
a wall. I mean, that's just what he... I mean, that's the sound that it would make.
That is the sound it would make.
Schlatt.
Schlatt. You ever heard him... There was like an SMP he was on, and he was going
Survival
around...
multiplayer, a Minecraft server.
Yeah. But he was going around like a Pokemon, just going Schlatt. And people were like, what's going on? And Charlie was there, and he was like, I don't know. He hasn't been the same since the accident. He just keeps saying Schlatt.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think it's a bit? I think it's a lot less of a bit. Certainly he's more genuine. I don't know if you've ever watched his YouTube series, The Weekly Slap. He's not putting on he plays a game of Call of Duty and answers like fan mail and advice.
Oh, I think I've seen him do similar things. I don't think it was Call of Duty, but it was other games where it was like he was like talking to chat or whatever.
Right. Well, he doesn't do it so much anymore. Mm-hmm. He talks about in actually one of these Chuckle Sandwich episodes how he was inspired by CNNers, an old YouTuber, and I think CNNers is still around. But anyway, he's much more genuine, a lot less he's just more calm, and he just talks about genuinely like how sometimes, breaking up with your high school girlfriend is hard or whatever. Yeah. Right. So
yeah, it's also like he was a computer science major.
Is that true?
Yeah. That's the thing I've actually heard him talk about the most in like that kind of way is other people who are like, I'm thinking about going into computer science. What do you think? Or like, I'm a woman wanting to go into this field, but it's so male dominated. And he like talks about computer science. He was a computer science person. He has 2 cats that he likes a lot.
True. Well, I only know
he
Jambo.
loves cats.
What's the other one?
The other one, I don't think we know its name, which this was also like with Jambo for a long time. We didn't know Jambo's name.
Really?
Because that's like Schlatt isn't like obvious about it, but he just like doesn't tell people things about his life.
It's so interesting because he's kind of one of the most he jokes a lot about how he's like ready to sell his soul for money.
Yeah.
But he's pretty protective over his personal information.
Yeah.
In a way that a lot of other social media people are not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. And also, like, a lot of the stuff he has said, it's like, he could be lying just to, like, have a thing to say.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's genuinely a very interesting, like, kind of case study in... I hate that I attempted to say the phrase internet I'll put in the word as you said it here.
Anonymity.
Because that is the word for it, and I can't say it.
Try.
Say it again?
No, you can do it. Believe in it dwells within you.
The
power rises up like a font.
I have to visualize it in my brain how it's spelled because I'm more visual and tactile. Anonymity.
Anonymity.
Anonymity. Anonymity. Anonymity. Anonymity. Anonymity. Internet anonymity. You have no idea how bad I want to say a lot of words we've agreed to not say on this podcast.
It's awesome. Hey, you have to bleep it out, so no skin off my back, brother.
Yeah, but I don't want to.
It's a lot of work.
And I want to be strong. So far, you've cursed more than me on this podcast.
It's not true.
It is, for sure.
There's no evidence of it.
There is.
I don't think so. If I had ever cursed, it would have been bleeped out, but I haven't, so no one would know.
Yeah.
If I talk a lot about laser projectors, it's for no particular reason.
No reason at all. Yeah, you're the only one who said a curse word so far.
Well, that's not even going to be in here. You're going to cut around that so people won't know.
I will. That's also the first episode. If it seems like Sam didn't curse that much more than me, it's because I cut a lot out instead of bleeping.
Not true. It's because I just didn't. Yeah, so Jschlatt is an interesting character. What are your feelings? Do you think that it's mostly a bit?
I think it's mostly a bit. I think I'm kind of like I kind of don't care about his personal politics.
Yeah, I feel that is also how I feel.
But a lot of the ways like the joke about I don't know how to phrase this in a way that's not weird.
I don't know the joke you're referring to.
The sphere of work he's in and the friends he has, there's too many queer people for him to actually be homophobic, which is a thing he's joked about a lot. Right. That kind of thing.
Yes.
Where it's there's no way he would actually stay where he stayed if the things that he joked about believing were true.
Right. I agree. And that's why I feel like, to get back to you were talking about he's a subject of Twitter controversies.
Mm-hmm.
Listener, if you think he's funny, I think you should listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think it should be a big worry for you. It seems that he is a genuinely nice person.
Yeah.
You know?
He likes cats. He's really nice to his friends. And so many people have said in behind the scenes stuff, they're yeah, Jschlatt's actually really nice. It is also the jokes aren't difficult to listen to, I feel because a lot of people get the impression that Jschlatt is just so abrasive in a way that's not fun and funny to listen to, but he's funny.
No, yeah, a lot of the jokes that you're it leaves you going, oh, Jschlatt, you shouldn't say that.
He's I'm gonna get a tank and drive it through your house or something.
That's what he said. It's crazy that's his famous catchphrase because it's not really that quippy. Yeah. It doesn't work that well. And it's not really a credible threat.
Yeah. But yeah, he's also, because he's been on a couple Minecraft SMPs and stuff, and is a good actor. He plays a lot of villains and is good at it, and it's fun. So it's all fun and something he's good at creating this persona in a way that's very interesting. Also, it works really well with the other two people on this podcast who swing wildly between playing the straight man and the other crazy one.
Right. And that's so what's interesting is that Jschlatt, for kind of being the most popular and the one we've talked the most about and the most outlandish, talks the least.
Does he?
I think. Yeah, I mean, I think he does. I haven't run the numbers.
Maybe. I thought Charlie maybe talked less. But I think for sure it's I think Charlie and Jschlatt are the ones who tend to kind of flip back and forth between one of them takes the back burner and will cut in with something really funny.
Yes. It's such an interesting thing to be very aware of like a comedic dynamic, which is
Yeah.
frequently Ted is like, "What's happening?" Especially in the early episodes. He's like, "Guys, you know, I never broke into your house when you were little children."
Yeah.
And then, both Charlie and Jschlatt are going, "Yes, you did."
Yeah.
Right?
You killed that guy.
Right. A lot of times it will just be one of them, Charlie or Jschlatt, and just talking about a normal story, and then the other one is like, "Yes, and also, that's when I came in with the walrus," or whatever, right? Whatever nonsense.
Yeah.
But it's still very funny.
Mm-hmm.
They do a good job. I only listened to one of the interviews, and I quite liked it. This is not journalism. It is they've trapped somebody for an hour.
Yep.
I guess I watched two. I listened to one with the other YouTuber, Swagger Souls. He did two episodes for whatever reason.
I haven't watched those ones. I've seen clips.
Yeah. Does he?
Just to be honest, his voice is abrasive to me, and I
What?
can't listen
His
to it
voice
for
is
that long.
awesome.
I don't know what it is.
Swagger Souls had a podcast. I would listen to it almost as sure.
He has a
Everyone
very
has a
distinct voice,
Yes.
and I could not tell you what it is about it that like I can't listen to it for that long. But it like, I don't know. Nothing against the guy at all. I'm not even like he has a bad voice. I'm like I don't know why I can't listen to it for that long.
Absolute madness.
Yeah.
But they do a good job with the interviews.
Mm-hmm. Which Ted usually runs point on. Of
Yes.
like he's got questions.
He's got questions, and the other two make fun of him for having questions.
Yeah.
Because to be fair, the ones I listen to, not all great questions.
Yeah.
They're just like, "So, I see that you paid taxes last year. What was that like?"
Yeah.
Right?
Which also you listen to the early ones. I would say like he does a pretty decent job at like being an interviewer, especially in the later ones. Like they did Chuckle Week where they like met up in person and had people actually they were in LA, so it was like there were so many people around.
Mm-hmm.
They met up in person and had an in-person set and had like a bunch of people on. They were recording like multiple episodes a day. And that was Chuckle Week. But it was like most of them were interview episodes, and they were pretty good. That's when they had Ethan. I think both times they did 2 Chuckle Weeks, I believe, and both times were when they got Ethan on.
And is that how you found the podcast?
No,
Okay.
I knew of all 3 of them, but I am very much a Charlie Slimecicle fan.
Okay,
so
this comes to our point of contention.
Yeah. Which I kind of think I've maybe won already from things that have been said off the podcast.
Okay. So Charlie is the one that I knew the least before coming to this listening to the podcast. He's another gamer guy. He like had some like Dungeons and Dragons type stuff.
He's got his own
Dungeons
podcast with some friends of his that is Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
Which is also good, and I will talk about eventually. Keep an ear out, I guess.
God help us, should it happen.
It's so good, is the thing.
And he's the one that like I knew the least about. Ted Nivision I knew of vaguely. I actually like watched some of his content and like enjoyed it. He's very famous for making a video about going to all the not Tropical Smoothie Cafes, the other one, Rainforest Cafes.
Rainforest Cafe. Also, are you saying Ted Nivision?
Ted Nivision.
Ted Nivison?
That's his name, but like his YouTube channel is called Ted Nivision.
Huh?
Is this not true?
Not at all. It's Ted Nivison.
Why do they call him Ted Nivision?
When do they call him
They
that?
call him Ted Nivision all the time.
When? I've never heard this.
Are you deaf? Are you deaf? I think the YouTube channel is Ted Nivision, and his name is Ted Nivison. I feel like you could just be saying it wrong, but I really thought
he
that
put out a video this morning. I should remember how it's spelled.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Hey, Anna, I would love for you to once again prove me that I'm correct.
Yep.
I love it when the little machines come out because
Little machines.
they, the font of all knowledge, will support me time and time again.
I don't think
And my eternal
that's true.
crusade for correctness.
Nope. It's Ted Nivision.
Show me. Prove it. The little machines have turned against me.
Yeah.
I was not correct.
Nope.
I've never felt this feeling before. I was so certain it was... all right, well...
Well, you thought you knew Ted Nivision.
I know
but
nothing.
You knew Ted Nivision.
I knew Ted Nivision. So I was more aware of Ted than Charlie. Charlie to me was just like an extra guy that was there.
Mm-hmm.
At least Ted has a nice, like, deep voice, you know?
Uh-huh.
Charlie does not.
He's got a fine voice.
He's got a bit of a nerd voice. He's got a little nerd voice.
I mean, he's a nerd. They're all nerds, really.
Yes,
it's just how much they put on. If anything, like, Charlie seems the most like a nerd at first.
Yes.
But he's also, like, for sure the most, like, jacked out of them and, like, parkour and stuff.
Yes, he's very into parkour. I was intrigued by this.
Parkour, rock climbing.
I just, like, watched some parkour videos after this, and I was like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of my feeling. When I first came in, I watched a Chuckle Sandwich episode like 3 years ago, something like that, when it first came out. And I was like, oh, this is, whatever. And there's also this little nerd boy.
Yeah.
Charlie. I didn't care. And then this is the big event of the podcast is, do you know when it happened?
It happened, I would say, a little over a year ago. Because I remember it was like Just Roll With It is his Dungeons and Dragons podcast with some other buddies of his. It was like Just Roll With It was ramping up. He had other projects he was working on. And so he was like, he left the podcast. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, good riddance for this podcast I didn't listen to. I was like, this guy, I whatever. This guy didn't contribute anything. Listener, I come today in this podcast, humility in hand. I was incorrect.
He was wrong.
I was wrong.
I was right, which is that
we don't need to go that far.
Integral.
We don't need to say
to
that.
You talked about the comedic dynamic, which you become very aware of, especially once Charlie's left.
Yes.
Because you realize what's missing.
So now that Charlie's left, they have a new guy, Tucker. Tucker is Ted's friend, who is also the editor. From the episodes I listened to, I didn't quite understand exactly what his role was. I assumed he was not at the table, slightly far away, and also operating the computer. Yeah,
I believe... I could be very wrong because I also believe they've had several of these, but I believe he was originally like... maybe editor, but I think he was like a fact checker and like would go through like emails and like when they were like reading fan mail, he was the one who was like, okay, read this one next, which he still kind of does for the podcast, but he also has a face cam and a mic. Yeah.
Like almost like a producer question mark. Not a fact checker. There are no facts presented in this podcast.
No, they had fact checkers at one point.
Fact checker for what?
For Chuckle Week, they've for sure had a fact checker, but I believe it was someone else. And then some of the earlier episodes, I don't remember which ones, but they would be like, "Is this thing true? Look it up." And someone off camera would look it up. I think he had a mic, but not a camera. Would look it up and would be like, "Yeah, Ted's right," or
sure, but that's not his job title, is fact checker.
No, but it was like that's what
it's just a guy that
was noticeable
on standby.
Yeah,
with Google open.
Yeah,
and Tucker's a fine guy.
He's not an internet personality though, and you can tell. This is true. He doesn't have the same presence.
Yes, and it is less of that dynamic of two of us are playing off each other against another person.
Yeah.
Right? Because Tucker's just a nice guy. And he's like, it's
yeah, there's definitely funny stuff he does, and I like Tucker.
I like Tucker too.
But I don't...
The podcast was better with Charlie Slimecicle.
Charlie Slimecicle.
I actually quite like Charlie. Honor is correct. He's super jacked. But he's also, he's quite funny.
He's really funny. Like, genuinely one of the funniest people in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was, here's a funny like way to quantify how funny he is. When I got my wisdom teeth removed, I had a lot of time just like laying around. I was just watching YouTube because it was like no one else was home.
Right.
Trying to like keep my spirits up. And so I was like, I know who I'll watch. Charlie Slimecicle. I had to outlaw watching Charlie because I would not be able to control how hard I was laughing and would hurt like my stitches. Like I was going to rip my stitches.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. So that's like a almost qualitative metric of like how funny Charlie is. I was like, I have to watch someone else because I can't keep myself from like laughing. See, watching him.
I don't know that I enjoy him that much, but I did learn to like appreciate his presence on this podcast.
It is like a kind of humor where it catches you off guard a lot, but is like very clever with timing and stuff. He does a lot of like puns and stuff too, which is like
no good, dude. No good.
That's for sure part of the thing that's like he's kind of a nerd in that he like really likes wordplay and is always making like really awful puns.
I also really enjoyed a bit that I didn't see because I listened to this.
I was about to bring up the vegetables.
Does he do that every episode he's in?
I don't know if he continued to like the whole time, but for a long time, every episode, I think it just started in the first episode. He was hungry, which he's talked about before. Like his blood sugar will crash pretty quick. He's got to eat like every couple hours. And so a lot of the time during like he streams and stuff, and he'll be like, we gotta stop and get some carrots. But he likes vegetables and he gets hungry. And so he got a snack for recording.
You just like described the human experience of eating.
Well, it is a thing where he's like, I have to stop every couple hours and refuel. Like because his blood sugar crashes and stuff.
Right.
And so he was like, I need a snack, but we're recording the first episode. I don't remember what he ate at first. I think it was just carrots. Or something. But he was just eating carrots, and it wasn't acknowledged, except for if you could hear him taking a bite.
Yeah.
It was just on the camera. And then he came back, and he had a new vegetable in episode 2. And he kept doing this with different veggies. There was one, I don't know if you would have listened to this episode, because I don't remember how early it was. There was one episode where he ate, like, most of a tub of spinach. And at the end of the episode...
That's a lot. Like, that's not... It was a takes lot time.
It was like half a tub of spinach. And at the end of the episode, they, like, did the outro, like, bye, whatever. And then he lifted it up and dumped it on his head with his mouth open, like a shower of spinach, and they cut it out of the episode. And next episode, he came in and was like, hey, that was funny. Why'd you cut that?
I did hear this, and it's great.
Episode. Yeah.
And I will do that
like,
to you,
oddball
Honor.
Humor.
If you ever cut out one of my funny bits, because as the listeners are certainly hearing, I'm making jokes every minute on the minute here.
Yeah.
And listener, if you aren't hearing that and the massive laugh track I'm playing after, Honor's cutting it out, and you need to write your representative.
Yeah.
To tell them. Write a law so Honor can't do that.
And your representative is our email.
At podpodcastcastpod@gmail.com.
Yeah. Write us. Complain to me.
Complain about Honor. I'll read it.
Do it.
Please.
We're going to get in a fight.
Somebody needs to hold her accountable. Jesus.
Yeah. But he's got this like funny oddball humor. He also... The thing... that I think works really well about Chuckle Sandwich is that you've got 3 guys, they're all really funny, and they all can be, like, real out of left field sometimes.
Yes.
And so you'll get, like we said, with usually Ted, I would say, like, the majority of the time is the straight man. Mm-hmm. And the other 2 are, like, going crazy, whatever. But any of them can do that and do. There's sometimes where Ted and Jschlatt are at each other's throats. Because they'll like get into fake arguments. I mean, they all will, but I feel like Ted and Jschlatt especially.
It is.
And Charlie's just like kind of continuing to talk like normal. And the craziest thing is when Ted and Charlie get going, and Jschlatt is like, "How am I the straight man? How am I the normal one here?"
That is, yeah. He's not used to that. He's not used
but
to
he
that.
can. He'll be like, "You guys are crazy, and I know that because I'm crazy."
They're very good. We should also talk about the episodes that Honor held me at gunpoint and while I listened to.
I just suggested them.
The Chuckle Dungeon episodes.
Yep.
So Charlie has a D&D podcast.
Yep.
But just is a big D&D freak.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played the game, so I'm not super.
Sam's a liar.
It's not.
We've played D&D together.
The only game I've ever played is football.
And Sam has DM'd. I just need everyone to know.
It's not true. It's not true.
We're both very into Dungeons and Dragons. Sam's maybe played more than me.
I don't do nerd malarkey.
Yeah.
I throw around the pigskin.
Mm-hmm.
And I lift my irons. That's all I do.
Tell me right now how you can score 2 points exactly in football.
You do a conversion after the touchdown. What? You think I don't know?
No, not with 2 points exactly. Not 8.
Safety?
Yeah. Okay.
Dude,
I thought I was going to catch him on his nerd stuff.
Hey, I have a dad, okay? Don't think I don't know how the sports work.
I just think I know more about football than you.
I've also played Madden NFL 2000 on the Nintendo 64.
That's more nerd than people who haven't.
Hey, dude, I'm sorry. Even when I'm not balling out, I gotta be throwing around the pigskin.
Who do you think is more of a nerd, me or you?
I think it's you.
I think it's you.
I think we took diverging paths.
Yeah, probably.
I was like, I want to like learn and like develop useful skills, and you're like,
Yeah? Say it. What are you gonna say? Say it. Say it. No, say it.
And you thought, man, Tumblr's pretty neat. What if I just kept doing that? I was on Tumblr for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's true. It's scary. I didn't really understand it.
Yeah. It's a subculture. This too is folklore.
Don't say that like that's a thing people know that you say. Just because, like,
listeners, that's a thing that I say. I'm also a communication major. I like thinking about how like humans interact with each other and like subcultures and
I like computers. I like to think about how humans can stop interacting. My dream is where no person ever has to communicate again.
Yeah.
Dude, won't that be rad? Like, imagine if we got like AIs to write, read, and then act upon emails, so that no one ever has to communicate, especially in a business way. No, it's.
I think society would fall apart.
I think it would be way better. I think
communication is so integral to everything ever functioning.
Sure, but let's talk about how communication is. It's just it's an algorithm, right? It's just there's a sequential amount of steps so often that just have to be gone through, right?
But it is nuanced in a way that requires human interaction.
Soon it won't.
No, I don't believe you.
And then we'll all just be doing 8-ball on iMessage, and that's the only way we talk to each other.
No.
A paradise. The Garden of Eden returned.
No.
Be awesome.
8-ball is also communication, though.
I guess I'll outlaw that, too.
Yeah.
Vote for me for president.
I think you'll kill everyone.
The United States of silence. Shut up.
The United States of shut up is kind of awesome.
I mean, that's what I see. That's what I believe in this country. I believe that we can all just shut up. Stop talking. Everybody just needs to be quiet. That's it. I'll run this country like a library.
Yeah.
The Chuckle Dungeon episodes are good.
Yeah.
Yes, as somebody who likes D&D, much like Honor does, they're very good. It's also
just to clarify, they're one-off D&D sessions that they did. Charlie ran them. Ted and Jschlatt both played characters.
Thank you.
Yes.
What's really fun about them is if you like D&D, I think you'll enjoy them, especially if you like these guys. But they also showcase just like how much like improv is at the core of what these guys do.
Mm-hmm.
And in some sense that like Jschlatt pretending to be a condiment dispensing warbot, and Ted pretending to be like the biggest meat chef in the world, is really not that different from a normal episode.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like if they made one of their bits longer.
Yeah. It's like if they were just like more detailed about their bits and had the bit written down in numbers on a character sheet.
Yeah. It's very good. It's also Charlie does a great job in like making it about them. So the first Chuckle Dungeon is a quest that Ted and Jschlatt go on to find like the ultimate sandwich.
Yep.
And then the second one is an absolute train wreck. Charlie starts off by being like, "Hey guys, it's gonna be, more open ended than the last one," and then everything immediately goes in the dumpster as they assault a corporate tower which houses both the ultimate like pre-workout protein shake and
the chalk,
and then I think money. Oh no, money. So also revenge on the guy who has money.
Yeah.
Very good. You should listen to those.
Yeah. I also think it is nice that they do it because, like, Charlie's played a lot of D&D.
Right.
I think Ted maybe had dabbled, but, like, Jschlatt hadn't really. But it is cool that, like, Jschlatt... Because, again, his persona, you would not think he would be willing to play D&D, but he is. He was on Charlie's D&D podcast.
Really?
Yeah. He was a guest character. I think he was on a couple episodes, actually.
This makes sense.
Maybe it was just one. But yeah, he was on there, like, played a whole character. But it's cool that, like, they were willing to play. And also, like, Jschlatt is getting walked through a lot of it. And so they're kind of like, listeners, if you don't know D&D, here's kind of how it goes.
Right.
Which I just think is a cool thing because it can be very difficult to get into D&D.
This is true. I think the most commonly said phrase across the two episodes is,
"What die do I roll?"
Which one? Which one is that?
Which one?
D8? Triangle one? No,
Triangle?
Other one. Double pyramid.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good. So I'm going to... Honor, how would you rate this podcast? Knowing that we have yet to make a formal rating system.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any rating systems Chuckle Sandwich has used that I can steal, but I think they've just been boring and done like 10 out of 10. Chuckle out of sandwich?
Perfect. How many chuckles out of sandwich?
I would say, like I said, it's not a podcast that I am like, ooh, a new episode I'll listen to like every episode. But I for sure, like, I'm subscribed, and when I see a new episode, I decide whether I want to listen to it or not. With Charlie, 8.
Whoa.
Maybe 7.
Okay, take it
Without 6. I think it's still good.
Yes.
They're still funny. Like I said, I do like Tucker. I just think it's not as funny, or even like is like the humor has to become different because it's just not the same, and it's not necessarily as much something I personally like.
Yeah, I think we're about in the same spot. I think I would probably give Chuckle Sandwich with Charlie 6.5 chuckles out of sandwich, and then without 5.5 chuckles out of sandwich.
Yeah.
And that's just because I think it's fine. And I think these guys are funny.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it is not a podcast you, for me at least, want to binge through.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't mean that I was like, I was afraid to see my friends go. No, I was just like, oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, the next episode is, I mean, they do a pretty good job of making things consistently and they are funny, but it is not like you're like, oh, I'll listen to one. Yeah. And I could see you going, you know, oh, new one came out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll listen next week's, right? It is kind of, it's there when you want it kind of thing. And it's not something, it's a little repetitive, I guess is what I'm getting at. Is if you listen to a lot of them that are close in time to each other, you know, one after the other, you're like, oh, this one was Smash or Pass. This one is Would You Rather. This one is like, you know, Jschlatt's theory on the Sphinx or whatever. But it's not. It doesn't give me like some other comedy podcasts where like I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
Because even if it's also about nothing, it's going to be more insane. It's going to be, you know, like when it's over, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to listen to the next one. I don't feel that way about this podcast. Even with Charlie, it's pretty good, but it is an above average comedy podcast with guys that I enjoy. I just don't know if I want to listen to it all the time. Yeah,
I was going to say, like, with Charlie, I think I could have, like, if there had been an open slot in my brain inventory of, like, I want a piece of media to make me laugh, make me chuckle even. I think with Charlie, it could have been one where I was, like, excited to listen to every episode every week. Without, it's, like, just falls under that bar, I think.
It's not in your rotation.
Yeah. But for sure is like if they get someone I like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm excited to see how they interact with this person.
Right.
Like I said, I really like Charlie. I really like Ethan Nestor. I was so excited to see how they would interact. Because I think they're both very funny. I was like, I think they'll like each other and riff off each other. They did. It was great.
Right. And I think that's probably good. Like, listener, if you want to get into Chuckle Sandwich or you're interested in it, maybe look for an episode where they have a guest that you know you already like.
Yeah.
And you'll have a good time, and then you can kind of see, like, do I want more of this?
I think
that's how most people kind of interact with Chuckle Sandwich.
It's for sure either you already know those people, which, like, is for sure how I found it. I was like, I like Charlie. I want to see more Charlie. Or Brady talked about watching the clips.
I didn't even think about the clips.
The clips are 9 chuckles out of sandwich. A Chuckle Sandwich clip is really funny. The ones with Charlie in them specifically is what I'm
such a
of.
Charlie stan. It's
really
crazy how much you like this guy.
Charlie, I think he's really funny. He scratches my particular funny itch in my brain.
And through this experience of listening to Chuckle Sandwich, I have grown to appreciate Charlie Slimecicle more.
Yeah.
He's still not that, like, it's still surprising to me that you're like, I like this guy especially, because there's still not that much, like, about him that isn't, he's just a guy. Like, there's not that much.
That's kind of
you just
want
a normal, homegrown little man.
But also, there's more I could talk about with Charlie Slimecicle. I'm tempted now to, at some point, make you listen to some of Just Roll With It, because that's a group of funny people I really enjoy listening to. And I think maybe you'll understand a little more. Because it's also, if you see Charlie in this particular context, he is, like I said, I think he talks less than Jschlatt. He's, like, the most background personality out of the three of them, I think. And he, like, jumps forward with a quip every now and then. Maybe I'm wrong.
Do I have to listen to Roll With It now?
I think you should. I do think you'd like it. It's a good podcast. I would recommend Just Roll With It to anyone. It's good. Because also the thing you don't realize about Charlie Slimecicle when listening to Chuckle Sandwich, he's not just funny. He's an incredibly strong dramatic actor, which people wouldn't necessarily guess. But, like, he's really good at, like, like he ran the funny D&D sessions really well. He also does really well with like very dramatic, like genuine storylines. Anyways, this is not about Charlie Slimecicle, it's about Chuckle Sandwich. I think the clips of them, I've watched the compilations of clips from the first 10 Chuckle Sandwich episodes or something,
yeah,
you know?
And you get the best ones.
Yeah,
and it's really good.
Really funny.
Because the best bits are quite funny.
Yeah.
That is probably...
The highs are really high. The lows are...
They're whatever. They're fine.
They're like, meh.
Yeah. I don't think... Yeah. It is fine.
It goes up and down.
The clips are probably, if you were to be efficient with your life, probably the best way to interface with this is the funniest.
Mm-hmm.
Which pains me to say as somebody who
agreed.
The clip economy hurts me.
Yeah, I don't like clips, but like, yeah,
they're good.
I've watched the clips.
Clips are funny, man.
Clips are funny, and it's easier to keep up with than like an hour of a podcast episode a week if you're not invested. If I'm like, okay, do I want to watch this episode? Oh, they put out a clip. Do I think they're funny? Maybe I'll go watch the rest of the episode.
But then the thing is, you watch the clips and then you're like, I don't need to watch the episode.
Well, it's like a deciding factor of like, okay, I feel like I've got it, or I'm like, I want to go see the rest of this conversation. You know?
I've never felt that way after. Well, maybe like a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. The H3H3 podcast I would do that with sometimes.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's like, I get the clip. I can go like try to search down this part in the video and then I'm like,
yeah,
this was the funny part. They did accurately summarize the points. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What was your favorite episode that you listened to?
Ooh, that's a good question.
If you had to recommend an episode for people to maybe check out.
Maybe the Tommy Innit episode, that was pretty good. I like that one. I really also did like the first Swagger Souls. That was really interesting because I had heard the Tommy Innit one before, but I hadn't heard the Swagger Souls one. And I didn't know much about him as an influencer YouTuber guy. And that was really interesting. The episode where Jschlatt moves to Texas and then is like in a snowstorm is pretty good.
Yeah.
But maybe above all that, I might say the first Chuckle Sandwich.
Chuckle Dungeon?
Chuckle Dungeon.
the first episode.
Yes, that
it
one.
went all downhill from there.
That's also their constant joke. Which is like, this is the second episode. They're like, this sucks. And I'm like, I guess it does. I mean, I don't know. You guys know more about this than I do. Yeah, the first Chuckle Dungeon. It's very good. It's a fun story.
Yeah.
It does make me kind of want to listen to Just Roll With It.
It's good. I will say because Just Roll With It has a Patreon where a lot of they've got other campaigns on the Patreon. The one that's free is not DM'd by Charlie. He's a player. Very good. But he is not the DM.
I don't know if I'm ready for this.
I think you're not. In a very good way.
Is that what we're doing our next Book Club on?
I think we should. You know, I've been meaning to catch up. They're on hiatus right now.
How long are these episodes?
They're a couple hours. Well, okay, no, actually I lied. The early episodes, I believe, are like 30 minutes. They get longer as you go.
How long is the campaign?
The campaign, they're in like late game now of like, I don't actually know how much longer the campaign will go. I have a couple episodes I need to catch up on. Otherwise, I've listened to most of it.
They've only done one?
Huh?
They've only done one?
The one they're on right now. They technically did one a long time ago, but it was like that group kind of fell apart. There was no ending. There was no ending.
There is no complete story there yet.
No. The one I would recommend listening to and that we have access to is Just Roll With It Riptide, which is their current ongoing campaign. They're pirates. It's awesome. Sam's making a little face and rolling his eyes around. You want to explain that? You want to explain that face?
My eyes were being riptided. They were going out and coming back in.
Okay, I
the
didn't get
ocean.
that joke, but that's funny.
Well, it was a post joke. After I made the joke, I was like, "What was that joke?" And then I decided.
What was that joke?
I was trying to figure out. God, do I want to listen to this? If it had an ending, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm into it."
Maybe we could just listen to like a couple episodes,
Yeah, but I want to.
like first arc or something.
I want a story. I don't want to.
I think I could get
Don't
you.
want a half a story.
I could get you hooked on the story. We do a Podpodcastcast episode. We decide whether you're hooked or not. We could come back in like 40 episodes or something. That's a lot. Probably not that many.
This is exactly my
If you
worry.
listen to the rest, we come back, we do another episode on Just Roll With It.
Maybe we find something shorter.
We can.
Perfect.
I will bring Just Roll With It to a round table.
Okay. Last minute thoughts on. Closing thoughts on Chuckle Sandwich.
I like the first Ethan Nestor episode. If people want a suggestion for an episode to listen to, it's funny. They talk about the zombie apocalypse.
I'm so glad I asked you. You asked me. We're very nice, and I did not ask back.
It's fine. I was gonna say whether you asked me or not. So
Perfect. Sweet. That's where to start, listener. If you think you'd like Chuckle Sandwich, if you know these YouTube boys and you somehow have not heard of their podcast, you probably will.
Yeah.
Go give it a try.
It's fun.
It's fun. I probably won't listen to it anymore.
It's fun to listen to when you feel like listening to it.
It's not broken. It's not broken into my rotation. I think that's going to be my, it does it have Sam's stamp of approval.
Gotcha.
It's not in the rotation yet. That's what I'm looking for. I got open spots.
Yeah.
I got big empty waiting queues.
It sounded like you were gonna go. I got loyalty.
Pardon?
You don't know the Kendrick Lamar? Never mind.
You've not listened to Kendrick Lamar.
I had
ever.
to listen to Kendrick Lamar for class. I did like a whole month or two of high school literary analysis on Kendrick Lamar. I've listened to several albums. Thanks for listening to Podpodcastcast.
Bye, Podcast. See you later. Bye.
Bye.